information. Okay, so it's not as, epic without sound. Yeah, fine. Anyway.
Wait, were we supposed to hear something? I was like, I saw the movie, and I was like, oh wait, there's sound with this. I'm like, I'm missing this. Oh, and you're like, oh, there's nothing. It's just me doing the Vanna White. So.
No, I am Vanna White. Wow, that's old. No, I will actually consider putting sound into this.
That
You didn't
was
say
harsh.
Vanna White, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Just making
Wow.
certain. Fair enough. But anyway, what we're going to be doing is every guest who comes onto our show makes a difference who they are, be it some big baddie in the gaming industry who's a community manager, or be it some little person who just wants to ask us questions. We are going to be bringing questions to you first. But we're never going to ask a question of anybody without asking ourselves the question first, because that seems slightly unfair. So now, basically, I need to pick one of you and put you on the spot. And I think because of how this particular setup for this show has gone, I am going to pick on you, Screen.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, this is my excited face.
So
Okay.
I am going to pose to you 3 questions. Actually, should we do it in a round robin way so that each one of us answers the question before leading into the next to not quite give away all the questions too quickly?
Yeah.
No, they couldn't prove it in 42.
Yes. Okay, well then we'll do it this way. We'll do a round robin. So Screen, you get to go first, then Blank, then myself, and then I'll throw out the next question as well. So,
All right.
Screen, introduce yourself, tell us where you are from, what your community is, what it's known for, and then do me a favor and tell me 2 truths about yourself and 1 lie.
Right. Hi. I'm Screenager, also known as Error in the real world. I am the community lead for Afterlife Gaming. We're an EU PvP community. Or if Pseudo meant where I'm from, if you've not worked out I'm from Scotland yet, then possibly we're in trouble. Generally, I am the dog's body, do everything, be everywhere member of Afterlife. So as it stands, I, as well as leading the community, I will generally do whatever needs doing. Hence, I'm here to hopefully give my insight, as well as tell you to go and check us out because we're awesome, honest. What? Shameless plug.
You're allowed them.
As for 2 truths and 1 lie, let's go with some easy stuff here. So, I have a cat, which will most likely cat bomb me at some point. My first ever podcast appearance on the internet on a different show, I did indeed get cat bombed within the first 3 minutes. And also, I actually knew Pseudo before we started gaming from just random encounters.
Okay. We're not going to tell you what's truth and what's a lie, because to me that's unfair. We're not going to give that information away. So, go ahead, Blank. Your 2 truths and your 1 lie.
I don't get to do an intro?
Oh,
fine.
no, you get your intro as well. And you also get to name drop or, plug. Go right ahead.
A little bit about me. I'm the general manager at Subterfuge Gaming. I'm a live streamer at Twitch TV, and I'm a co-host on the longest running and the best podcast for WildStar called Late Night Dominion. I'm going to talk about 2 truths and a lie. I have 4 sisters.
That was one of them, right?
I have 2 children that mean the world to me, and I am the Viking King. And that is a little bit about me. Pseudo, why don't you tell us a little bit about you, sweetie?
I can just see where this is going. Okay, so my name is Pseudo. I go by pseudonym as well because there happens to be
Right.
somebody else
Don't
in
we?
the WildStar community who has the nickname Pseudo. And no, I am not him, in case you can't tell. Let's see. I am a counselor for the EU Guild Enigma, of which I am an incredibly proud member of. I have been in gaming communities for over 10 years of my life, including at one point in time running a raid progression guild of over 300 people. And let's see. So 2 truths and 1 lie. The feeling of Q-tips in my ear is probably one of the greatest feelings in the world. I am allergic to chocolate, and I have actually played Magenta in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So,
I'm done. I'm done. I need a break. Is this a podcast? Can we cut this right now?
hey, it's just, you know, two truths and a lie. I'm not going to say which is which.
It's good.
Well, that's how it is. So, question number 2. So, Screen, as I drag it back and make you the big focus, so everyone can see
There is
your
no
face.
dragging this back. This is gone. There's an edge. We're over it.
Apparently so. So, with hindsight being 2020, Screen, describe a decision that you've made for your guild or your community that you felt was appropriate at that moment in time, but with more time and experience under your belt, you would do differently now.
Well, I've thought about this today, and after much thinking, I keep coming back to the same thing. It's not doing this show.
Oh, loving. That's brilliant.
We love the show. Yeah, 20 minutes in, I'm already having a go. No, in all honesty, it's probably taking the guild into Star Wars: The Old Republic. To be brutally honest about it, it's not just a quick fire at an easy target, but it's more down to the decisions we made as a community. We approached it in probably totally the wrong manner. We got sucked in by the hype. We didn't approach the game with a critical eye at all. We didn't really analyse what was coming out of the press outlets with any sort of a critical eye. We didn't engage to try and get access to the beta properly or engage through social media. We really didn't cast enough of a critical eye over it as a leader of that community, and we really should have done. We kind of went in gung-ho, and we found that it really wasn't up to what we were looking for. And quite honestly, in my experience, if you're going to move into a new game or a new environment, you really have to do that homework. You can't just take what's given to you at face value, whether it be something that you end up enjoying, something you end up hating. You've really got to learn from your past mistakes like we made with Star Wars. You've got to understand that everything that's put out to you from a developer, from a publisher, is going to show the game in its best light. It's not going to show the flaws. It's not going to show the problems. And you need to dig past both the hordes of people on a forum who are just going to be there for trolling and complaining, as well as the stuff that comes directly at you. So you got to make the effort. You got to go to conventions, play the game, ask the question, if it's not at a convention, why is it not here? The same as you would at a movie. If a movie doesn't get shown to a film critic before it comes out, the first thing that you think is why. It's exactly the same with a game and a demo at a convention. If something doesn't show PvP at a convention, then why is it doing that? And that should set off alarm bells, and it should get you looking at these sort of things. And we never engaged at that sort of level, and it ended up that we found out after we deployed into the game that it wasn't the right game for us. And that obviously causes all sorts of other problems later on, where you've got people who are in the community and they don't end up wanting to be because the game doesn't support what they want to do. So in hindsight, we would have not gone into that, but more because we would have looked at it with a more critical eye.
Would you say, though, that you had a really bad turnover of members because of what happened there? Or were you guys kind of prepped and prepared to, say, have some other game that you could go pick up the slack with?
I don't think we had another game that we expected to have to go to. If we had another game that we were prepped to move back into, that would be fine. But we recruited primarily for Star Wars, and frankly, we didn't expect... Well, that guild within our community, we recruited primarily for Star Wars. As it stood, we didn't have a fallout plan for anything going to pot. because we didn't expect to, because we never looked into it properly. So it ended up at the stage where we just had a lot of players floating about the community that didn't really know what to do at that stage, and it took some time for us to find a direction after that to take them in so that we could kind of bide the time for the next game that we were looking to open a guild into.
Oh, never fun to make a decision where you think you got it right and comes back and bites you. So, same question to you, Blank. What particular decision have you made in your gaming community / guild that, looking back now, with your 2020 hindsight being as perfect as it is, you would have done differently?
It was along the same sort of lines that Screen was saying, but ours would be not a very specific thing, but with project launching, we would come up with a lot of great ideas, or people would come to us with these great ideas, and we're like, this is an awesome idea, but we didn't have like the staffing or the logistics to launch it. And so there were a couple things, like pilot programs we launched that were like, you look back and you're like, oh, like we did, because everyone knows it was a pilot program, we put together a MOBA tournament called MOBA Madness. And one of our members put it together by himself with minimal support. He got the teams together, there was a prize pool, we shoutcasted on Twitch, but putting it all together, like, we'd never done it before. So we learned a lot from it, but one of the things that we do now is before we launch a project, before we even pilot something, we make sure that we have all of the background logistics set up before we go and do it, because it can be kind of embarrassing when you're like, we're awesome, we do this stuff, and then you launch something and you look back and you're like, oh god, that was stinky. I mean, it was well intentioned and was fun, but when you look at it, you're like, oh, that wasn't all that great. So that's really been our biggest one, is making sure that our intentions are backed by logistics and communication and a firm network before anything happens.
So for your particular community, it's a big focus on what you can produce to share with the rest of the world that's out there, not just what you're doing internally. So you want to make certain you have the support structure in place for who you are right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Interesting. So, great. Now the question gets thrown back at me. What one decision have I made? And believe me, I've made quite a few in my years of guild leading. I think the biggest mistake I have ever made when it comes to running a guild was not asking for help. The most frustrating thing is being told by guild members that if you are a guild leader or in a position of leadership, that you're not allowed to have a life outside of running the guild, that you are not allowed to do anything except run the guild, answer the questions, run me through this instance, run me through this dungeon, get my alt this gear, get my alt that gear, set this raid up, plan this entire thing, make certain that the DKP is 100% done, get the stuff done on the website, make certain that the vent, the mumble, whatever is working at 100%. And yet, if you don't do that, you're frowned on. I had, unfortunately, a very nasty situation where I actually got called out for that. I decided to play a different game. And because I needed a break, I was getting burned out because I was literally doing all this stuff because I didn't ask for help, because I thought, why would I want to burden people when the reality is I just want to offer a fun place for everyone to be? So I want them to play the game. I have no problems carrying the administrative overhead. And anyone who thinks running a game or a community does not have administrative overhead, you don't understand what it takes to have a successful running guild. That's all I'm going to say. Which is stuff we'll go into in this show. But anyway, I got called out. I went to play a different game, and I had 2 guild members who publicly said in a meeting, you are not allowed to play another game because you are the guild leader. And I actually, at the time, believed them. I don't anymore. I have grown, and through 2020, I understand there's nothing wrong with asking for help. I understand that when you ask for help, one of the key things is to ask the right people for the right type of help. You know, there's nothing like someone going, yeah, I'm all for helping you, and then they never show up to do what they're supposed to do, because then it all just goes right back onto your shoulders again, which is a very frustrating situation, not gonna lie. So for me, that what I have to say is my biggest mistake was not asking for help when I really, really needed it, and then obviously believing something that is not true for a successful community. But hey, We'll get through all those glorious things. So let's see. Oh, we're back to you, Screen.
Yay!
Yay!
I mean, yay!
I'm surprised you haven't been cat bombed yet.
Sleep
You're
Yes.
safe.
for now.
For now.
For now. All right, so our third and final question in this more information section. What is one of the most memorable events that your guild or community life has given you for the sense of accomplishment? More or less, what one thing? Pick one, because I know you've got many, because I know you, and I know what you're about, and I know Afterlife Gaming, and you've got quite a few. But what one event do you believe brought you the greatest sense of satisfaction?
Crushing Anu under my heel. Oh.
I knew it. I
You know,
knew
it had to go there. Obviously, it had to.
I'm sure he'll watch this later. No, to expand on that, basically, in Afterlife's time, as a community, we started in Aeon. Not probably the most fabulous MMO in the world, but good for what it was.
That was
And we were
PvP
heavily
oriented.
we were heavily into the open world sieging areas of the game, and we ended up on a server with a number of other guilds. But essentially, it was a 2-faction game, and Anu from VOTF and his lot were on the other faction, and they essentially rolled our faction for a good month, 2 months, really badly, horrendously badly. So ourselves, some of the guys from Boon Control, a few other guilds that were on that you may not have heard of, we stepped back. Myself and about 2 other guys spent about 2 or 3 weeks going around every one of the top 30 odd guilds on the server. We established a server community. We built it up from nothing. We're talking everything from, this isn't like building in any community where a lot of people speak the same language. We are talking with everything from Greeks, Italians, Spanish, UK, French, Germans, all willing to talk to each other and coordinate. We launched our preemptive strike back, shall we say? We launched our counter-offensive against Anu and the Asmodeans, and we retook everything one night. But what that consisted of was not only building a community from scratch, it required myself and a couple other guild leads on the server to coordinate that about somewhere between 400 to 600 people on a 2-hour raid across a massive area. That relied on me having a couple of guys were reading the whole thing, and I was coordinating about 7 Ventrilo servers across one screen while playing the game, whilst coordinating back to the main overall raid leads. It took a lot of work and a lot of concentration. Over those 4 hours, we established not only a successful community that cemented itself, but we then established the bar by which we played the game, and that continued to then roll on, and we established a foothold in that game that eventually culminated in, although the guys at VOTF and a few of their allies didn't leave the game, most of the general support they had, the general player base on the other faction, quit the game after about 4 or 5 more months. And we kind of killed the server a little bit dead at that stage, which in some respects I regret a little bit, but in the other respects, that one night where we turned the entire tide of the game flow was so satisfying, but so much hard work, and I don't think I've ever had to have control of that many Ventrilos in one place ever, and I don't think I'd do it again if I had to.
Did you use different keybinds for each one?
Yes.
Oh, were they able to understand you? One has to tease you as we go through this show.
The Italians?
Buddy.
I have flashcards for that response blank.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep my mouth shut and keep smiling because that's the way to go, right? Continue on. Go ahead, Blank. Same thing for you. Greatest sense of accomplishment within your community. One example.
We just had our yearly meeting where we go over all the different things we've done, projects we've completed both as an organization and as part of the gaming community. And the biggest one that really stood out to me is we did a Child's Play event. Um, I go to different conventions to network and meet people. And while I was there, I talked to the Child's Play people and asked them how to do the widget, how to set things up, how to promote everything. And they were, we liked their setup, we liked what they did. So we're like, well, we're going to do an event. We were starting to get known in the WildStar community. So we were like, hey, we're going to do 24 hours for charity. It's going to be a couple of us. And when I talk about the project launching, great idea. The format was it was literally like throw everybody onto Twitch, on XSplit, and let's go for 24 hours. We were able to put it together, and we had people donating to come hang out and play games with the Carbine developers. If you donated, you actually got to play directly with them instead of just hanging out in chat. A bunch of them stayed throughout the day, and I said this before, a big, huge thanks to Bardic. She started the day with us and literally was there for like 8 hours, off and on. But throughout the day and through the wee hours of the night, we were able to raise $4,000. We had made a goal of $10,000 just to be silly. But the last time we had tried it, we had barely made a couple $100. So for us to be able to pull that together and network out to the WildStar community and to just the people we knew in general and have that big of a response in our first year is really awesome. And it was less of a testament to the content and the format and what they visually saw and more about gamers coming together, for a good cause. So definitely.
Yeah, we'll be touching on those particular issues in a particular show at a particular time. Stay tuned. So for me, I am actually going to have to pick from a recent event. And I'm going to have to pick Gamescom of last year. Now, I have been involved in a lot of guilds. Like I said, I've run my own guild, humongous one, and it only took me 10 years of my gaming life to find the guild that I'm currently in, which is where I'm happiest. Hey, I've looked in other places. Some of you people seem obsessed with this thing called PvP.
There is nothing other than PvP.
There is only the PvP.
There's PvP, and then there's flower picking and killing dragons. Just so we're clear. There's
Not
PvP,
everybody likes flower picking.
Killing dragons.
Apparently, you can lose your cat as well. Oh no, wait, that's role playing.
I forgot. That's right. There is role playing too. So there we go.
Hey, I will happily stand. You guys can support the PvP communities throughout the Campfire. I'm fine with that. I will stand tall and proud for the PvE and the role players because honestly, there are communities that need love too. But anyway, to answer the question, it was interesting to me to see for the very first time a guild decide to get together. It was the first time Enigma decided, hey, let's all go to a convention. We weren't able to get everybody there, but we got a lot of people there. And the fact that it was slightly short notice, although this year we're obviously planning much more in advance because we have the ability to do so. But having everyone get together and going out for drinks afterwards and then meeting people from other communities. And then just every time I turned around, there was something amazing. There was a smile on somebody's face, etc. Was it perfect? No, of course not. But that's not why it wasn't it was a trial, because when you get a huge group of people together, it makes a difference whether it's for business or for gaming. You can't please everybody. But what we've learned from that has actually made us even stronger. And any time a guild or a community runs across something internally that's slightly adversary, or even if something from an external comes at the guild, when you build yourself up and overcome any adversary, internal or external, if you grow stronger, that just to me shows strength in a guild. And I was proved that humongously, and I've never felt so good for being in a guild than I did after I got back, and everything was like, wow, we did that. Plus, considering the fact that we have people from Romania, from Finland, from Sweden, spread out all over in one place. It was just awesome. Yes, I know Europe is smaller than the United States, and trying to get everybody together in the United States could be a little bit of a challenge as well. But still, it was a first for me, and it was a real big sense of achievement. So that's mine. And
I've heard horror stories of that. I've heard horror stories of people getting together, and those people you hang out with in TeamSpeak or Ventrilo, you meet them in real life, and you're like, that guy's a dick. Like,
You know,
that's not a swear, by the way. Not a swear. Doesn't count as the first one. You know, like,
yes, we'll like, keep the bank on that one. But no, I think the thing to keep in mind is if you foster a community where people are real on TS or real on Vent, Mumble, Skype, Raid Call, whatever it is that you use for your communication platform, if you foster that kind of community, when you meet face to face, there should be really no differences. Except maybe they're a little taller than you thought they were, or, you know, a little more rotund, like some of us are.
Or they don't take showers or brush their teeth as much as they should. I'm just saying, been there before. You're like,
has happened.
Me, sir.
Snores more.
You're like, we're gonna
Drinks
share a
more.
room. We're gonna share a room, sir, ma'am.
Not
you
a
need to go
room.
take a shower.
Well, see, that's the thing. Our guild decided to rent houses and apartments. So that's what we did. So we had like anywhere from 5 to 8 people per apartment/house. And it worked out really, really well. And we're planning on doing it again.
That would be called spring break nerd style. If we did, like, that's what PAX East is literally going to be this year. Like, I think about that. Like, we have a couple of rooms, but if we had houses.
I love the accent. Couple of rooms.
Man. Sorry, I'm also reading chat. But yeah, it's always interesting because I haven't done an organizational one. The only organizational one was back in Burning Crusade. A part of my guild at the time rented out like a hall, and we landed up, and that was the thing. But not like at a convention where there's
was
stuff
it like a
to
hostel kind of a situation? If you were renting a hall?
No, we rented a whole hall and had the internet put in, and we were able to power level the whole time and had a room for sleeping and food and everything. But I've never done a convention, so that's why at conventions it's always like, I like you, we know each other, we work well, so you can hang out in my room. Like Nixus, everybody knows Nixus is always in my room. Every convention we go to, he's either on the floor, he's on the couch, or wherever, so.
Well, it helps to have people in your community that you get along with. I guess I'm just lucky in the fact that I get along with everybody in my guild. So I have no problem sharing a room with everybody. Maybe that's what we should do. Maybe we should rent a castle.
Yeah.
That's what we should do. We should totally rent a castle. That would be
Does Germany have castles left?
Yes, Germany has castles left.
What
What kind of question is that?
Just checking.
Well, it does.
I mean, we've got them, but, you know, you're not going to come here. We've got no games conventions.
Well, you are moving. So you are moving
to
to
the
where
old smoke, yeah.
you are moving to where there are conventions. But yes, so that was our 3 questions. That means anybody who decides to join us on our shows, be it someone who runs a guild and wants to come talk about their guild and how they do things differently and everything else that goes with it, you're going to be asked those 3 questions. So come prepared with your responses. Makes it so much easier. At least.
Or don't.
Yeah, or don't come and just, fly by the hip. That works too. Sure.
Because this has been a total success like that. What?
Right, and here's where
Wait, I'm not getting it. I'm being cat bombed.